but I know I had gone to, I think, Fort Canvas one day when they were scattered by Lee. Yeah. And I went to see my brother. Either my brother took me on a tour to Fort Canvas. I don't know which of the two, but I know I got there and I don't know. I don't even know. Like, I can't literally picture Victor in this particular memory. I can't even picture anybody. I can just picture a very, very, the place looks like, no offense, Victor, the place looked like Copper's Lodge. And there were just a lot of rooms. And I think Victor was one of them. I know that my name is Victor. And he said, so they had always defined me as a corporate brother. But another time I think I met Victor again was when our one-time president, Professor Shalom, did like a business summit in my campus fellowship, CFI, and invited Victor and Media Director there and some other people like that to come speak about everything business, everything life, and all of the plenty stories. But over time, it has been interesting getting to know Victor. I think yes. So last year I was fortunate to be one of the people uh, that were selected for like his mentorship program, the Fast Seven. And it was exciting again. Like every of our conversations, or every time I get on a call with Victor, or every time I have a conversation with Victor, there's always a certain mind shift for me, and it's amazing. It's amazing. But yeah, so that's my own part of the story. So I'll allow Victor do a bit of introduction about himself, and we'll dive right into today's conversation. Yeah, so Victor. He left. Oh. So, if your name is Victor, please come on and do introduction while we wait for the original Victor. Yeah, he's back. Yeah, Victor, are you back?
Oh, what happened? I don't know. I just went off the call. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. So I'm Victor Fatanmi. I grew up in a village. That's very important part of my introduction. One word describes me from a value point of view. I'm optimistic. I see the potential of what things and people can become. I'm very optimistic. I co-founded and lead the team at Fort Canvas. I think I'll self-describe as a creative entrepreneur or creative consultant, or something along those lines. But my passion lies in the space between people and brands influence people, how people drive brands and how brands influence people. Yeah, that would do for my introduction.
All right, thank you, Victor. So I think probably because of network, Victor's video would have to be like off throughout this session. But if the network gets better, I know he would turn on his video. So today we are literally going to like, there's no.
Also, you can see my video right now. You can see video now.
Yeah, I can see your video.
Oh, it's actually on.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead. I mean, sometimes the network influence.
Yeah. So, Victor, a little backstory about being a dropout. I know. So I didn't know you were a dropout because in Nigeria it is stereotypical to think everybody that is successful went to school. Yes, and I I am part of the people that sometimes think in that line, or as I then I thought in that line. It was your conversation with PCT on the vulnerability podcast with Chief Osaritin that you mentioned that you were a dropout, or that and Osaritin himself did not even consider going to school after making money. Uh, but then, so the question would be, or no, not the question. Please tell us, just give us an insight into how this story played out. You dropped out in 2015. That was like the year I got admission into FUTA. So I would really want to know. Yes, he dropped out from Federal University of Technology, Akure. Yes, I would really want to know. A bit of a backstory of how everything played out. You finally decided that, oh, school is not for me, and you left.
Okay, I'm trying to just a
Network.
minute. I want to switch. I want to switch my network so that we have less interruptions.
All right.
No.
Oh. So while the conversation is going on, please, if you have questions, you could just drop them in the chat window, and once we are done, we just go over the questions. That's
Hear
it.
me clearly?
If you have questions while the conversation, yeah, we can see you, and I think the network is a bit better now.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so do you want to take the question again, or I should just go with my understanding of your first question?
So the question is just basically tell us the story of what led to you dropping out,
Okay.
like how everything panned out.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay. So I think the best place to start was from boarding house, secondary school stage. There was, when I'm describing it, I always call it, there was an OT, let me put it that way. That's the word we used, that's the slang to describe an idea that was catching, no, let's say a certain understanding, right? So there was this line of thought when I was in boarding house, right? That was popular. Like as we all looked forward to uni, we had this consciousness that when you get to school, apart from your course of study, we had stories of people who had gone ahead of us, of how, okay, for the first time in your lifetime, you have this independence. And we didn't just think and desire that independence just for the fun of, okay, we don't have to wake up 5:30 any longer. If you went to boarding house, you don't have to do the 5:30 in the code, morning devotions. You don't have to do the afternoon siestas, even though you don't feel sleepy. Now you have your life to yourself. It wasn't just, there was the eagerness for that freedom. But one more thing, I don't know who inspired that thinking in my boarding house, but one thing that was very popularly, that we're very strongly conscious about and look forward to is how, like we've heard, when you're in uni, you do something on the side. Like when you're in uni, there's your course of study, and there's the, I don't know, I'm not sure we didn't call it also, but also became the buzzword over time to describe what we were thinking. But more like, oh, you can't just be in school and all you're doing in school is the school itself. Do you get? It was just, so everyone had this consciousness that, okay, when I get to uni, I'm also going to try and figure out the business to do on the side. We mostly talk about it in terms of, everyday business, maybe, I don't know, sell something or just do something, provide a service that you can provide for your colleagues and for lecturers and for the community that exists on campus. So there was this slight little entrepreneurship nudge in our minds in secondary school students. I think the story should really, really start from that. Now, when I got on campus, I was easily interested in more than just school. I wanted to join the tennis club. I got something different, and that was what I did my first year. Then I met my bro in uni. It was in the final year while I was in the. He ran a magazine. Now, my mom bought me a laptop around that time. Just felt like, oh, I mean, while all my siblings really begged and fought to get their laptops, it was handed over to me at the point of, I don't need a laptop. I'm like, oh, okay, of course I do. But of course, what do you do? Use laptop to do? Just watch movies, just play games, do stuff. And my brother was using his own laptop for the magazine he ran. He's a writer. So his laptop had the fault, and he started to borrow my laptop to, when he wanted to review designs sent to him. So sometimes they would send in a Corel Draw file, and they would show him how he could open it and edit it, or maybe they wanted to come to his house to preview something so they can make immediate changes. So it meant that he downloaded the first Corel Draw file on my laptop, and of course Corel had to be installed for him to be able to open the file in the first place. Okay, that was the beginning. That was in that beginning. Let me put it that way. And so he would open the designs, trying to review them, and naturally I had opinions on those designs. That was my first step in that sense towards actual design. As a kid, I played with paintings, I played with drawings, I did many interesting things like making magazines out of newspaper clippings. I did normal creative stuff that every child does, then loses that artistic thing that every child has, then wears off over time because, of course, you're supposed to go become a doctor or something. What's drawing? In fact, growing up, when you asked me, what do you want to become? I will mention all things, but I never said artist. And I surely never said graphic designer because I didn't even know there was something called graphic design as a thing that somebody can do as their work. So, but I had opinions on these designs, and sometimes they gave my feedback to the designers. I just had some opinions based on the. So I grew up. There was a library in our house growing up, and I didn't read the books. I was always just looking at the visuals. So I had opinions naturally, and my opinions seemed to make sense a little bit. But I thought I also paid those designers. So I would have so many opinions, and my brother would be like, "Are you sure you would? Sure you will not go just gonna be a designer like this?" I'm like, "Okay, what's that about? How does that work?" And I spoke to one of the guys he was paying to design. He gave me a certain amount I was supposed to pay him to. I couldn't afford it. They were done with the magazine project, was printed, it was successful.
Hello?
Tolu, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I think, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So to not expand that story too much, I don't know how far you want me to go, but from that moment, I then started to play with the software because now I have the software, right? So I couldn't afford paying for an actual structured training, so I played with the software and I started recreating stuff. I would just pick something and recreate it. And then I started making stuff for my classmates. I started creating stuff like, trying my hands on logos. I mean, and the beautiful thing about starting anything on campus is there's the immediate audience of your fellowship, immediate audience of your classmates, immediate audience of your hostels, your friends and your friends' friends. Those are the immediate audience that didn't need any level of professional. They didn't even know what professional expertise was. So you just try your best as well. Just create something and create something and create something. And I started getting paid to design, right? 5,000, 2,000. You won't even believe it, 500 naira self. And it started becoming a thing. It started becoming a thing. gradually. And then at some point, I met BJ, in the school hostel, and we started thinking more structurally. Okay, this is a business. It's a business that this can become. We had a name, which eventually changed later on in 2015. But the most important part, I can't tell my story of dropping out of school without mentioning two things, two key events. In second semester 100 level, I answered a certain question. I answered a certain question in an exam, in a theoretical. So my strength in education is the theory. I don't do so well. I've not been able to do so well in the maths, right? But I do so well with the theoretical part of things. So I think my lecturer, I studied estate management, which I didn't finish, right? Um, the lecturer asked us to define land, and I gave an answer that was different from what he had taught us. He had just taught us land is everything above, beneath, and the land itself. And I was like, in my answer, I explained how well I don't get paid for airplanes crossing over my land. I don't get asked if I would like helicopters to fly over my land. So I surely don't own everything above my land. And so, like, I didn't give him exactly what he taught us. And was it F or E? That's, I think E, and that's just above F. And I was sure that I did answer every other thing because I had no issues with every other definition, but I just didn't get that part. And I think in a proper educational system that I would have loved to stay in, the lecturer would probably have called me while marking that script and first be interested in that curiosity, in that thinking, because I wasn't being dogmatic about it. I was making sense. Obviously, there was the way it would show me how I wasn't now making sense eventually, but he rather marked me down because I'm sure I couldn't have gotten an E in that. So I believe that he didn't just give me a wrong answer for that answer. I think he marked the entire script with his being pissed, I guess. And that really affected my CGPA, like what I had, from the first semester. That E really, like, I thought in my own level that I could, okay, let's go for a first class. Let's go for a good grade. And once I got that E, it was like, it just punctured something. It punctured the balloon. And I'm like, okay, for what? Because I dared to give an answer based on how I understood stuff. Really? That was a major point of starting to lose interest, starting to realize that, okay, this system is not for me. I'm not for, let's come and spend 5 years to garbage in and garbage out exactly as it's just by our lecturers, or you could say our lords. So I started to get disinterested in the system. Then I got more interested in extracurricular stuff. I contested for student union. I won the elections. I designed posters, right? Of course, I used my skills as well in those areas. And then very very importantly, a movie that most people saw for the purpose of entertainment, Three Idiots. I said a movie called Three Idiots, and it changed my life forever. Because it was as though you were already thinking about something, you are already having some sentiments against the system, then you see a movie that puts it in real life perspective, and from that moment, it strengthened my resolve that, okay, well, what are we trying to kill ourselves for? You are here to get a certification that certifies that you are good. What the world needs, that labor market that this is preparing for, what the world really cares about is that you are good. This is just a proof that you are. So it gave me that perspective that school is one of many ways in which you can show or prove your excellence. But there's one more thing school is supposed to do. Before certifying that you are good, school is actually supposed to train you to be good, which once again, it means that if you pick a thing and there are alternative ways to get trained to be good in that thing, apart from the university system that you have been destined to go to after secondary school in your life, like that's all 6-year primary school, 6-year secondary school, 4-year university thing, that's 664 thing. It just became clearer to me that these systems are not supposed to be in stone. Why are we here? The purpose of these systems matters more than these systems themselves. So when I dropped that eventually, I dropped that progressively. I dropped that I stopped going to classes first, maybe in 200 level. No, I started going to I started missing half of classes in 200 level. In 300 level, I started going to maybe only a tithe of classes, 10%. And then in 400 level, I didn't go for IT. Then the 500 level, at the actually even resumed 500 level, right? Which is the final year. But I didn't go for IT. I didn't do it at all. Or like my mates who just did fake reports. I went to my dean and explained that I didn't do IT. Like, what can we do about it? Can you put me in the next batch of IT? I told him of the project. So at that time, I was already working with Future Awards, Red Media Africa on Stop Ebola campaign, which I was proud of, right? Because Ebola was a major national global issue. It's part of creating some posters that played some role in sensitization in Nigeria. I was actually proud to tell my dean that this is what I was doing during my IT period, but I understand I didn't do the IT. I'm willing to be posted again. I was like, oh, the next batch of IT has already been submitted, meaning I'll wait for, like, do you understand what that means? Like, you're at the beginning of a session. IT is always second semester. And then I'm saying, okay, I'm willing to go again for IT, meaning I would have one extra year. And then he's saying the list of those who are going for that next IT has already been sent, meaning I'll wait for the IT after the next. Meaning I had automatic 2 extra years staring at me. And this is a school process that from 200 level, I'd already said, like, school was a side thing for me, right? And I'm taking it upon myself that I don't want to fake a report. I'm willing to do 1 extra year just to do this right, you know? And then it's like, no, it's 2. You have 2 extra years. And it was so pissed about whatever it is I said I was doing during the IT. As I walked out of my dean's office, I walked out of school. Like, that was the final actual dropout. progressively from that E that was given in 100 level second semester. So I started to say, I mean, now that I'm having this conversation, I've never thought about it like this before. I'd never, but I think a lot while talking. But let's say my dropout process started second semester 100 level. Okay, when we got the results. So we got the results 200 level first semester. So my dropout process started 200 level first semester and it ended 500 level first semester. But all through that period, the graph was like this. It was continuously like this. Now, a lot of people say, oh, you are bold, you are this. But like, I just analyzed it. Okay, school is training that to make you to be good. Then you get a certification that proves that you're good. In my case, I found alternatives to both. I found a field in which I could alternatively train myself. I could alternatively show and certify that I was good. I was so sure. Many people were like, are you sure you won't regret it? Are you sure the system? Are you sure everything? I had no doubt at all. You know, so but that gives you, I think that gives a background story. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Victor. The funny thing is that you have I did consider dropping out, but here I am. I have 1 month left, and I think I'll be a graduate. Well, because I think in 106 in 100 level second semester, and when I saw the result in 200 level, I just lost interest in school. I think I had called my brother as I was walking back home when I saw my results, and I was like, okay, how far? I got the career, and I was like, no, like, we go next year. But for me, I'm like, I've never failed in my life. I've never failed in my life. This is something I had not been able to process. So I've not been able to process failure because we don't talk about failure in my house. So we only talk about these things of life, getting first position, and even if you don't get first position, the question would be, you are here, but you could have gotten there, but not never been at the bottom of a ladder academically. And here I was feeling a course that I was so confident that I'd aced. So I had lost interest. And doing IT, really do IT per se. I'm one of the people that forged my IT report. I didn't forge it. In case any of my lecturers are listening to this, I didn't forge it. I did IT, but I did as a social media and marketing manager or intern for a solar tech company. So what I learned being a social media manager, and I did their designs for them during that period for a company, I just converted into solar, and I defended.
As if your lecturer is here.
I defended Zola, but I think during when I got home after IT, I told my mom that I did not feel like going back to school because I think then I was already working two jobs. I was working for I was actually working three jobs as a remote worker, but and I told her that I did not feel like going back to school, and she was like, "Ah, Tolu, but you have reached 400 level, just finish. It's just one more year left." And that was like, what? So it is because of what she said. That is why I am sitting in this place and having this conversation with you. I think I would have left. But so my next question would be, how did your parents take it? And yeah, how did your parents anchor? And I think for a whole lot of other people on this conversation, our anchor to school is what how our parents would take it and how they would feel if we'd eventually make that decision. So how did your parents take it?
Okay, good question. Okay, I think first we need to understand the expected reaction from parents on matters like this is understandable because they care about us. They are not sure we're making the right decision. They're unsure if we will be fine and okay. I think the first thing that made it a little easier for me was that before the concept of dropping out at all, my parents believed in me in that sense. They understood. I don't know how I earned that. Maybe just by everyday. I don't know. Whatever. They understood that I was confident. They understood that I was intelligent. They understood that they had no reasons building up onto that dropout, right? To feel like, okay, I was messing up my life. So if your parents, for example, always had concerns about you in the first place, maybe in terms of social vices, in terms of, if you had been making a series of bad decisions in life and they were not really, the concept of dropout just seems like the final nail in the coffin. So in my case, they knew that there were no worries in that direction, right? They rather had heard stories of me being a popular designer on campus. They knew I competed and won in student union, and they had positive things. Now, so first, it made it easier for them to know that, okay, if this guy throws himself out there, takes this huge risk, right, that he may not fully understand, they had less fears about his chances. They had a little more confidence that he would make the right decisions. I think that was an underlying factor. Now, but how exactly did I go about it? So it is, if you're going to drop out, this is something like a seminar on how to drop out. By the way, we don't drop out because I dropped out, right? We'll talk about that. But if you're going to drop out, so let's make it like an how to wiki how. Step one, don't ask for permission from your parents. That's step one. Analyze everything first. Don't drop out because someone else dropped out, right? Not like Zuckerberg, not Steve Jobs, not what's his name? There's a number of Nigerian examples. Steve Harris, not Timmy God, Bitcoins Africa. There's a long list. Not Osariton, not me. You may dig deeper into why they dropped that, which is why you're here, for example, just for additional context. But your decision cannot be because they may inspire you, but that inspiration must be like 10%. It cannot be the bulk. It cannot be the spine of your dropping out. Because if it falls in your face, you're not going to come to me. Because I did not ask you to drop out. You need to have a level of conviction that, for me, if it didn't work out in that sense, if everything like went so bad, and I'm like, I should not have dropped out. I would have carried my full chest. More like, okay, so what next? That it wouldn't have been a case of, I wish I did not. I wish I didn't look at this person, because I broke the first rule. Now why I still there here now? Oh, okay, interesting. I'm seeing the chat. Yeah, let's see how we can let's see how we can address that. Like, if this didn't work out at all, if I had reasons to regret all of this, it would have been a case of okay. So what next? What are we doing next? That's all. But if it was based on external factors, then in your regrets, you will be looking at those external factors. It was this person, it was this. So first, please, we're going to drop out, be alone with yourself and be fully confident in your decision. Now, if after that you still want to drop out, after all your analysis and everything I've said, you cannot ask, I don't know who your parents are. You can't ask permission to drop out. Like, what? I don't know how much of an orator that you are. Like, seriously? If you're going to drop out, right? Imagine that there's a bus that's moving, and if you ask the driver, if you're in a BRT and you ask the driver, okay, I want to drop here, and they parked for you and you came out, that's not dropping out. You know what dropping out is? The bus is moving, nobody noticed, you just dropped off. That's really what dropout is. So if you're going to drop out, you're going to drop out without asking permission. Like, you would have just dropped out. You will miss, and let me tell you how to drop out. Just miss one exam completely. That is the confirmation that you have dropped out of school. If you are sure, you're like, okay, I missed last 3 weeks. I might now dropped out. I might still in the school area. The way to drop out, just miss one exam completely. Like, just be working on, be reading or writing proposals or trying to work on your whatever it is you want to do with your life next. Then miss the second exam, then you're confirmed you're dropped out. Then tell your parents after. Yeah, that's what I did. So I told them at a point in which, of course, while telling them, I told them and tried to explain. I didn't just drop it in a way that, deal with it. No. But their resistance was meeting a decision that has already been made. Of course, you must be ready to answer their questions. Their questions whatever answer you're giving cannot be convincing enough. If you think that your parents, if you have a parent that can bodily, physically hurt you out of anger, then don't tell them physically. Tell them on the phone. Just saying. Like, if your dad is literally going to bring out something that almost cut off your head, then don't go and sit down in the sitting room to tell him you dropped out. Or at least call him to a public, call for a say that you can ask to take him out. Ask to take him out, or say it in front of another uncle or somebody that will not add to the violence, right? So if there's going to be physical violence, don't do it with just you and them. I did mine on the phone, actually. Then, so in my case, before I told them, they already started noticing. Again, that can make the landing easier for you. Already start making everything about that new thing you're doing with your life. And they're not hearing anything about school, like, what's up? They're like, then you postpone the conversation, then you have the conversation. So you get the blessing of your parents for marriage. You're never going to get the blessing of your parents for dropouts. See, the decision to drop out is a rebellious decision. You like it or like it, and it's not something you sit down and get approval for. And if you don't have the balls to do what I'm describing now, then don't drop out. That's simple. It's very simple. Like, don't drop out and then be peeing on yourself while you're trying to have that conversation. You know? So how did I do it? Well, first I dropped out. It's like crossing the Rubicon. It's like, yeah, if you read the Rubicon story, you cross the Rubicon, you burn the bridge that made you cross, then you face the enemy. So you drop out irreversibly, then you tell your parents, and it's nothing anybody can do it again. Then you try, it's not like you don't drop it and say nothing. No. You still try to make your point, but you've already done it. And at the end, we must all be bold enough to make decisions like this, whether you like it or not. Let me tell you something I told my parents. So they made it to make the matters easier. Okay, actually, I told them this in a different context. This context had to do in my head. But it's something I really could have said if the resistance on dropping out was too hard. So my parents had, sadly for them, they told us some stories growing up of some bold decisions they made as young people, especially in the direction of switching from Orthodox to Pentecostal. Like, this firebrand, and then you stopped saying you're not going to, they grew up in Anglican, and that whole, okay, there's now charismatic Christianity, and Anglican is suddenly feeling too cold, and then these young people suddenly stop going. It's happening, of course, it happens in every generation. So now, the RCCGs that were relatively the odds, Pentecostal Christianity is now feeling like the traditional Christianity now, and all of us are leaving our family churches and going to CCIs and going, I mean, if you're a Christian, you get what I'm saying. Going to every generation wants more clarity, wants more fire, wants to burn, wants to drop more of the protocol. Sometimes it takes some resistance. So in the case of my parents, they told those stories and the stiff resistance that they got from their parents for making those born again decisions, and we had been proud of them. And they did it. I can't give you guys details, but they did it and they defied so much instructions. And if you don't do this, don't come to my house. I will not attend your this. I will not attend your that. Both of them had stories like that and they went on and did what they believed was the best. So it made it easier for me when I have conversations with them. I'm like, your gene is what I'm carrying. It's your gene, it's your blood I'm carrying. You were a rebel yourself. And you made the best decisions that today you're proud of. I'm just doing mine. That's all. So if you're going to make certain decisions like this, you are not trying to be. I mean, if you're, let me end here. Every hard decisions comes with some compromise, some opportunity cost. Tolu, we have some time, Abby. I can just, Abby.
Yeah.
Okay. Some hard decisions like this. I had you. My baby's calling me storyteller. Now, hard decisions like this come with an opportunity cost, right? So if, for example, your mom or your dad, you're like your dad's favorite or your mom's favorite, and you guys have this cordial relationship, and they're so like, there's so much, they shower you, they pamper you a lot, and this is the kind of decision that would not make them the happiest, and it might make you lose some benefits and all of that. You need to be prepared for all of that. You need to be. But if you need to know that at the background of all of this, you have a conviction that you're making a decision that is good for your life. And at the end of the day, all of these concerns they have for you, the major concern our parents have for you is they want you to be successful. They want you to be all right. That's all that matters. They're just giving you a problem on specific decisions because they feel like this decision you're making is going to make you fail. So as long as you have carefully thought out how, despite you going the other way, it will come back to you still being, them being proud of you in that sense, you being fulfilled, having the kind of life that you envision, both for yourself and then the envision for you, then say no nonetheless, damn the immediate consequences, but be very sure of the long-term consequences. Yeah, I think you should quote that. Somebody should quote that. Yeah, damn the immediate consequences, but be very sure of the long-term consequences. That's what I'm saying for decisions like this.
Okay. So, this thing is hard.
Yes.
It's hard because I'm just thinking of a story my friend shared with me. So, uh, my friend had told me, okay, and I got into school immediately after I finished secondary school because once I never knew what I wanted to do. So when Twitter gave me another course, I was so glad because it's like a family blessing. When the first list was not yet out, my mom was already saying that so in this family, nobody has stayed home after they finish secondary school.
Pressure.
Everybody
Pressure cooking.
Everybody has just, and the rest started looking at me every day, every day. So when I finally got admission, but not for the course I picked, everybody was so happy. Uh, everybody was so happy. So my friend didn't get admission like the year we finished school, and he stayed at home quite a bit. Then when he finally got admission, that huge milestone in an African home. I think 2 years down the line, he so I called him usually. I usually like call him regularly to like check up on him. And I called him that particular day and he was like, "Tolu, I know this school again." I was like shocked. First question I asked him was the same question I asked you, that how do your parents take it? Like he did not go home for that whole year. No, when he finally went home, it
Was too late already. Like it was post-traumatic conversation.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. He had already done what he had already done. He had already done it. So at the end of the day, I think his father chased him out of the house, and so but just like you, he had a lot of things planned out. He had a lot of things planned out. He has strategically put in place that, when I will do this, I'll do this, and I should be out of the country by this. And not to say that all of those ideas were not beautiful, but how were you able to? Because like just like you said, our parents want us to succeed. How were you able to put two and two together and that got you here even after being a school dropout? Because the again, just like you said, the goal is to get certified in school and use our certificates, which we already now know is a lie. But for some people, that is actually what happens. They do use their certificate to get or to secure very, very amazing jobs immediately they're out of school. But for you, how did you put two and two together and you didn't end up in a ditch? Or you didn't end up you get like the context of my question, right?
Yeah, I get it.
Because I think that's like the next step for a lot of people that have the that are having this bone of contention.
Okay, thank you. So I will answer it in a way that is even more useful for everyone, because there are slight differences to my own story though, which is why again, like I said, it must be an individual decision. Something that made mine easier. The field I was leaving school for is design. It's brand. It's the visuals. It's what you see. And success in that industry is based on what you've done before, right?
Yeah.
Doctors don't present the people they've healed before as portfolio, right? You can't even take a risk with something like medicine. You can't be a medical doctor. It's impossible. It doesn't work in some fields. So some fields don't have alternative ways to prove, right? That's because of the capital risk, if there's anything like that, right? So you can't be a pharmacist. There's no alternative way to be a pharmacist, essentially, than for you to have done the fulfill the societal structures that proves that you can really do this. Because every 1% error will kill somebody. Now, for almost every other thing, people learn on the job. For almost every other thing, people do shit at the beginning. For almost every other thing, people grow by trying and improving. People learn by practice. And it was in my field, nobody cares. The client cares about what have you done before and how good is it? What impact did they have achieved? What did the clients you worked with, what did they say? That's all. Like it really wasn't hard for me, for my own field. It wasn't. It was just that thing that was pivoting into, I had to be good at it. And when I met BJ and it became a thing of a business, the business had to be good at it. The business had to hire, train, structure, and build a system around people who are good at it and deliver great service to clients. Both in design and entrepreneurship, of any type, customers are satisfied, they're introducing you to more customers. You are telling stories of your work on social media. You are realizing and agreeing at the beginning that you cannot do so great anything at the beginning. And because of that realization, you're humbly and actively soaking in new information every day. You will succeed. It's almost 100%. Time is a different, some might do it faster, it might take longer for some, right? So sorry, Tolu, but summarily, we just need to know that university or everything is human structure. What really matters is knowledge acquired continuously, which gives you the ability to solve problems. Value gravitates towards problem solving. If you imagine success, what are you looking for? Is it money? Well, you will get paid to solve problems. Is it feeling successful? Well, the people you solve problems for will tell your stories. You'll be able to point to those things and feel successful. Is it inspiring others? Well, by your growth, you would inspire others. What do you want? I don't know. I don't know what you want in life, but you can get everything through the established structures. You can get them outside the established structures. All you need to understand is what is at the core of these things. And let me tell you something. From 2014 to 2021, it's been a long journey of about 7 years of continuous learning, of continuously increasing that capacity to earn, to solve problems and to earn. It's not, in fact, things didn't happen as fast as I imagined that they would. But I think the most important trait is to know that, okay, my life so there's a way we hold on to the certificate and the way we're reading on campus. You don't want to fail. You read as though your life depends on it. If you drop out, you have to keep the same energy. It's just that there's no lecturer marking you any longer. But you need to read books, attend seminars, listen in conversations, as if your life depends on it, as if you're going to write an exam on those learnings. And if you do you understand what I'm saying? You're on campus, you want to fulfill the certification, you burn night candles, you sit down in front of the class row, or if you're unable to, you copy class notes so ferociously, if there's any word like that. You are sharing notes with your group of people. Now you are dropped out of school. You are not finding those groups of entrepreneurs. You're not asking other people who are successful. You're not attending seminars or listening when others who have done it are speaking. You're not reading books. You're not I don't get. I stopped writing proposals on campus. I stopped writing 10 papers on campus, but I started writing proposals in my business. Same energy. Same overnight. So the work ethic, it's if you drop out from a laziness point of view, I'm scared for you. Do you understand? So I left school not because I wasn't ready to do the hard work that school needs. I had lost interest in, I didn't think it was worth my hard work. Yes, let's put it that way. Both from the attitude and approach of my lecturers to the fact that, okay, now I found something else I want to do in my life. How will I spend the next 3 years reading estate management? I don't care about it. Now I found something else I want to care about. So that's it. It's just a shift of ethic. But all that school hard work ethic of learning, asking questions, getting in groups, listening, taking GS. So you think you won't drop out, and in 1 year or 2 years you can prove to those who say you should not drop out that you are successful now. It's not magic, except if you dropped out to go and play in Chelsea Football Club, or you dropped out to go and sign for maybe what's the widow's group again? OBO or something. If in the field of talents, football, music, maybe if you dropped out to a groundbreaking deal, that's different. Immediately you can see why you dropped out. Maybe if you dropped out like playing Facebook, founders, and immediately, I wasn't even immediate, but close to immediately, you had founders, backers, and your business is running millions of sign-ups all over the world. They're immediate, but forget that old fairy tale story of you drop out, then there's an immediate magical story that proves that you should have dropped out. Like, you drop out, life will continue. Like your life will continue just like if you stayed in school and you finish school. You know how you finish school now? Like you have to take your time to actually find your path in life. Like, I mean, time for most of us, like years to actually now find it. Maybe you struggle with an internship job somewhere, then you didn't do well on that job, then you were out of job for a while, then you tried a business that failed. You know how that story can actually be a 5, 6, 7 year story, and you're just wing. Like, that's the story of most people after school. If you drop out, there's no magical difference that is going to come with that. There's suddenly, like, 4 years after dropout, you might still be like trying to figure out your life. But the worst thing you would do is to blame it on dropping out, or to be feeling like a regret on dropping out. Like, just do what every other person is doing. Like, try to figure out your life. And if you do it right, if you put in the right work ethic and you learn the right things and you abandon approaches and take new approaches faster, right? You have the same chance as almost every other person. You probably have a better chance.
Okay.
My
So
case, left faster and I started learning things that my mates had to finish school before they started learning. So right. So it was an advantage actually.
So, like, to summarize what you've said now, it's just simply means that whether you are in school or you are out of school, just be a hard worker. Do what needs to be done, get the right knowledge, and
Hard
solve
work,
problems.
yes, you're right.
Um,
Yeah,
hard worker, hard learner.
yeah.
Simply
Defining hard
put.
learners.
I feel like my final question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you wanted to define hard learner.
Yeah, I'll just say that from the perspective of putting hard work in learning, because it's good to emphasize that so that you don't just think hard worker from just doing. You can be doing the same thing with so much hard work and you without updating how you're doing it or your understanding of what you're doing, that hard work might get you nowhere. Right. So it's not enough to work hard at doing. You need to work hard at learning.
Makes sense. Really makes sense. So this would be my last question. Then I'll open the floor to people who have questions. Then how did so you the question would have been, did you have a community of people that supported you or that supported your decision or that supported you when you dropped out? But so through your conversation you had mentioned Bolaji, and then you mentioned that probably you attended seminars and everything. So that would be like question one. Then question two, how did you find that community that I do not want to use the word validation, but that helped you on your journey as a dropout?
Okay.
How did you find society? How did you find all the people that had helped you on your journey as a dropout?
Nice one. Nice one. Okay, I will have to take you guys to another memory. First, I had never had any community that was specifically for, say, dropout one, or that I also didn't have any community really that understood that I had dropped out. So, but I was in communities that just identified me as a young person doing something, doing well, talented person doing well at what he does. But they supported me without knowing it in several ways that still apply to your question. First, there's the Bolaji you already mentioned. And apart from Bolaji, they were my closest friends who were together. I had a small group of other young people who we had this collective understanding with that we were all just, trying to do better, learn more every day, and it didn't matter whether we had this collective understanding that it wasn't about school. Like there was just that. So my closest friends, that's in most especially Bolaji, Bolaji dropped out of school as well for different circumstances, different story. In fact, I wasn't aware for a whole year, at least. But in the air around me, there was the natural understanding that it was not life was not about these things. Life was about continuously trying to learn and do better. So, and then as I met, there was this group of guys. Well, how did I meet them? In Students' Union. So I contested for Students' Union. And we went for a retreat. And I had this idea that, so that I was I naturally gravitated towards the PowerPoint side of things, presenting on the projector, because I was closer to how the workings of putting stuff on screen. So when the speaker, seminar, so it's 3-day seminar they do for students and executives. So I would pick key quotes from what was being said and I would just project them. You know what you do in church now? I don't know, I'm using church references a lot, but the whole concept of you're in a seminar and someone is just putting bullet points of what is being said on the screen. And so in the breaks, when there's no serious talk happening per se, then as people started bringing pictures to me, pictures they took, maybe someone was sleeping during the talk or sleeping in the, like funny pictures they were taking at the retreat. So I think I saw one, and then I started using a USB, put it on the laptop, then project it on the screen, then add some text to it. So we didn't know anything. The word meme was not a thing that's, I don't know, we didn't know anything about it. But it just made sense to combine funny images with some funny text. And I was just projecting, so I would just create one funny text with it, put it on the screen. And it was entertaining the entire audience so much. It was really fun. We just did it. And then there was this student affairs official who noticed that I was just putting all these things together and it was looking nice. And he told me that he has a book order. Can I come work on the design of the book? And I started, first book design, I started trying to put something together. But all of that whole experience made me have this closer access to that side of things where I could go to the student affairs. Then, okay, this is the story I was missing. I was invited to join the committee to plan a particular TEDx. And as a volunteer, a student, another student invited me to join. I didn't even know how he identified that I would be useful for that committee, maybe from that student in that experience. So guys, another thing, it's difficult for me to answer this because it's just so many dots connecting in so many intertwined ways. But I knew that I wasn't interested in planning an event, right? But he told me that there's this guy coming from University of Newcastle, like a future graduate that will also be present at the event of the meeting. And I went to that meeting because I wanted to meet that guy, not because I was interested in planning that event. So I met the guy, I showed him, I did an A4 portfolio of logos I'd done for my friends. I don't know I was a designer. And I showed him that printed portfolio. In fact, that stain, I'd stained it with oil in the hostel before I left. It was a terrible portfolio. But he showed his friends. So this is Microsoft Imagine Cup competition that Futa always did well in. And there was a clique of like 4, 5, 6 students who were on that team. So they always worked together. They worked into student affairs office. Like on campus, it was a different level you were in when you could just walk into the student affairs office without knocking. Like there's students, there's you, and there's these university officials, and people who represent school, like just have this different vibe to them. And he brought me in, introduced me to them, and they were starting a company, and they wanted me to try a logo, and I wait. I kind of got lost in the question I was trying to answer again. What's the question I was trying to answer again?
Question is, did you have a community that supported you?
Okay, so I was still on the right track. Yes, I was still on the right track because it is these people I've mentioned, right? That network that was introduced to, that network I'm talking about. But also what I saw is that in all of my conversations with those people, nobody cared about like this whole school. Nobody asked about my department. I was still in school, but I was already not so serious with school. Nobody asked about my department. Nobody asked what level I was. Nobody asked anything at all. It was just, oh, we've seen these designs. Can you post this? And they were ready to pay. They were ready to make references for me. I'm like, this looks like the cycle that we just play out in real life. When you're in campus, outside feels like real life, So even everything is in real life. But yeah, I started having this vibe that wait. Do good work. more people see the good work, they want to pay you for the good work. And then more bigger people see the same good work and want to pay you more for the good work. And you climb the ladder of life. Like, this is not so hard now. And nobody in all of that mix cared about your academic background because, well, in this work, the proof of your excellence is right here. We can see it. We don't care how you got here. And it happened exactly that way. Someone from that group introduced me to Chido Jidomo in Lagos, which was the first link I had to Lagos. All my work was for students on campus. And I had a deal, 2014, 5 weeks deal for Future Awards, 150,000. And that was the first, like, the biggest figure. No, that was Buhari. That was GMB. TFA was 150. Yeah. And I had a deal, 150K. And before that 150K, the highest figures in my entire design, anything, was you're hearing 5K, 10K, 5K, 10K. Then I had one job like that, one remote job with one guy in the US who was paying me maybe 40K. But actually, quick fast. Yeah, I think 40K. Then from there, I just got a deal of 150K. Like, okay, seriously. And then again, those guys too, nobody cared. What school? But they didn't ask if I went to primary school. They didn't ask if, they just saw the work, they loved it, and I was doing it. And then they gave me another contract for that's how I got to work on the GMB 2015 campaign. It was their project. They brought me on as a designer. And they paid about, I think, 400K a month for like 3-4 months. I paid the bonus when the election succeeded. And I went to Lagos. And afterwards, they wanted me to continue on a monthly now, recall that in that period, so they now give me a monthly offer of 250K continuously, like, because they could pay me more for a project, but now continuously, they started negotiating the deposit down a little bit to 250K. People were still telling me, you should not leave school, you should not leave school. I'm like, what's your lecturer earning? Like, what's my like? Like, let's start from there. Like, I have no certification. I'm working with people who do not care if I went to primary school. And you ask me to leave all of this, go back to school where my lecturers are earning 150K, 200K, like, and are being owed those salaries, or become what? I don't get. Even if you're a medical doctor in this country, you spend 7-10 years, you still have to go on strike for periods because you're not paid. Like, don't let's even go to that. There are many other things you can do with a certificate and paper jobs. So I'm not undermining the entire system. But I'm just saying that from my perspective, I was being validated immediately. Because, I mean, of course, it didn't go that smooth continuously because my interest was in entrepreneurship. If I wanted to continue as an individual, get jobs from here to here, it would have been faster. My validation would have been immediate and faster. But I went in the journey of entrepreneurship, which meant in entrepreneurship, all of that money was then being poured into the business, and then suddenly I was broke again. And betting on long-term risks like we do as entrepreneurs. And then that takes years and years and years of your company making money, but you're broke and all of that. It's a long story, very, very long, difficult story of an entrepreneur. But if I really just wanted to go out there, cash in on my opportunities in Lagos, boom, it would have been an immediate validation indeed. But of course, I mean, the entrepreneurship journey has then also proved so successful over the years. But I'm like, final last line of your question. Those circles, the real community, there's a community, is that as I go to Lagos, as I met Chude, as I met his partner, as I met these guys, everybody just seemed to care about the quality of my input. That's all. Okay, they were willing to listen to my ideas if I was advising on copywriting. They were willing to see, okay, the designs, like, okay, can we make these iterations? How about this? And they were willing to listen to my response. Okay, let's leave it this way. Let's consider this color. Like, I was flowing with, I could say at the highest level in that point, at least, like, we're working on a presidential campaign, for God's sake. Like, I was giving ideas, doing designs. Everything was, nobody asked, did you go to primary school? It didn't matter. Let me tell you the funny part, very funny part. When after the campaign, they now gave me like a running job, that's 50K. It was virtual. I think I agreed to come to office twice a week. Because I always was, like, the entrepreneurship side was running parallel, so I couldn't commit to a full-time role. Let me tell you the funniest part, guys. The CEO employed me directly. I was not interviewed, nothing, like, was just good guy, great work, let's start. And that's on the project, right? Because usually recruitment for a project doesn't take that long. We just most people even hire on projects because there's something urgent already, something is late already. Let's just get it done. Then the project for me was the proof. Whatever would have been confirmed in the recruitment process was confirmed with the project. So just look for projects to a running contract. And here this part. 2 weeks in, the HR wasn't trying to do due diligence. Normally, a new employee would have joined in through the HR, interviewing them, asking for CV, asking for certificates. By the time an employee has been confirmed in the company, the HR has everything they needed. But in this case, it's the other way around. I just dropped into the system automatically from the CEO's side of things, and it is the HR's job to now catch up with due diligence. Do you get what I'm describing, right? So, so 2 weeks after, he called me to his office, gave me a form. Please just fill this, about data, normal things that a company will have of all their employees. And then fill in your certificates here, your education qualifications, and please, latest by next week, I'm sure you bring the photocopies of this actual document, but just fill them in now. I carried my biro. I wrote my primary school name, 2019, Kinikon, I filled. I wrote my secondary school name, 2003 to 2009. I filled, and I stopped, and I gave it back to him. So I think there's a space for tertiary, and it was blank because I didn't have any certificate from there. And he looked at it. I was like, "You did not fill this part." I said because there's nothing to be filled there. He couldn't I can't recreate his expression because he knew how much I was being paid. Probably higher than he was. I don't know, but probably. And he couldn't just get it. Like, who is this guy? He was expecting, okay, is he Futa? Is he Covenant? Where did you come from? Fill it, bring your transcripts. And there's no transcript to fill. Like, he always looked at me. From that point, he had this amazement. He couldn't believe it. And then over the years, I started hearing news like, okay, Google says university certificate is no longer a prerequisite. Apple says it's no longer a prerequisite. Most startups these days is scary. Like, can you convince us that you can do the job? If any organization that makes it a prerequisite right now is going to have the perception of being backward. So the world has changed. And I was right.
Yeah. My God, I think you killed this particular question. And one thing I think that is consistent throughout everything you said was do good work, do good work. When people communicate from a value standpoint, nobody actually cares where you come from. So if you are churning out value, if you're turning out value in your line of work, then continue doing very, very good work and put yourself out there, have conversations. That like this is like all of the things I got from what you said, from the story you shared, because I think if you didn't show the that guy from Newcastle University or something your portfolio, and he didn't show so there's a consistency in the quality of work that you do, and it must always be better than the last, right?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Victor.
Yes.
So everybody do good work.
And sorry, Tolu, lastly.
So the floor is open.
Tolu, one more thing on that do good work. Design guys seem like, of course, tech skills, you may get results faster, right? If you in tech, either it's design or dev or any of those things. But if you are someone's assistant, and like I picked that as the most maybe non-tech skills or the farthest from tech skill. If you're someone's assistant, continuously learn and focus how to do your job better every single day. Continuously master your executives' processes. Continuously commit so deeply to the work. There's a quote that says, if you're going to sweep the ground so well that the angels will look down and say, someone swept this place, or they will say a sweeper lived. Like when you die. I'm just saying, I know you don't want to keep sweeping till you die, right? But I'm like, this whole thing, it's excellence. If you are, I've had up to 4 assistants. People I hired in Fort Canvas to be come and be my assistant. And let's be honest, when I hired them, I was not thinking about okay, I'm hiring you so that you can potentially grow to be this. I expect you to grow while you're my assistant, right? But maybe you grow and then if you don't like the job I'm an assistant again, you go to another organization and do it. I wasn't thinking about their future projections inside Fort Canvas. Each and every time, of course, I've been privileged to find good people, but they always migrate to full-time roles inside Fort Canvas. I started either in projects, in admin, in content, and they kickstart a career they didn't even know existed when they started as an assistant. The only 2 people who make an exception here, they have to go back to school, something like that, right? Like, whatever it is, if you're trying to learn a tech skill, get the tech skill. But I'm like, whatever at all, like, you don't have to tell me what you're doing. I don't even want to know what you're doing. Whatever it is, if you, like, the fastest shortcut to CEO sometimes is actually as a personal assistant. It might not be the CEO of that same company that person is leading. But if you do your job well as a personal assistant, for example, it's like CEO masterclass. It's like you are getting a masterclass access to your executives' capabilities that they've gained over the past 10 to 20 years. And by the time you're done with it, if you do it well, you're probably ready to lead a small organization on your own, or get into the organization and lead a role in the organization. So I picked PA because PA seemed like the low-hanging fruit that anyone can say, I can be an assistant now. What's I can be an assistant? Like, she be used to follow up his schedule and all. It seems like the relatively less skilled role in that sense. I just wanted to say that. So when I say learn, do good work, it applies to everything. Excellence in anything at all would help you get to the top. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I have a very, very similar story, but because of time, I would not I would not share it. So, do we have questions?
I think, let me look at the chat. I saw some things in the chat. So Leonard said he broke the first rule. So I guess you dropped out without the conviction.
Permission from.
I think he dropped out based on maybe he just followed someone else's path. My answer to you would be, you can only start from where you are right now. Like, the past is gone. The past is gone. You can sit down, analyze your strengths, your weaknesses. SWOT works for individuals, not just companies. Analyze your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities. Look around you. Where can you start from? What book do you need to read? Take your life seriously. Go back to school in your head. Like, go back to school in your head. In fact, go back to boarding house in your head if you prefer that, where you set very stringent timelines for yourself to get up, hours to read per day, maybe hours to share something. Like, draw up a plan for yourself as if you're in school. Yeah, you might have done that for the wrong reasons, but just start from exactly where you are and realize that most of the skill sets of the future, there aren't even courses in the universities to study them in the first place. Do you know why most tech companies cannot even hire based on certification? Because most universities don't even have those things that, like, I don't get, like, you're supposed to have a certificate in something, but the skill we're hiring for, there's no Nigerian university that can certify that you are good at it. Like, that's why the companies even over time to realize that, wait, why are we making this thing is a prerequisite? So yeah, even if you do that for the wrong reason, it never spoil. I dreamt. Can you please emphasize on long-term consequences? Yeah, just gain a robust understanding of. Take your view away from the next 1 week, next 1 month, next 1 quarter. Take your view into the next decade. Be conscious of the fact that understand what you have to do over time that would ensure your overall individual fulfillment of your own goals. Yeah, that's my thoughts. Because, like I said, please, guys, don't drop out hoping that very shortly you will prove your haters wrong. It does not work that way. Well, it hardly does. Or don't drop out feeling that, oh, very soon you buy a car for your mom and dad, and they will realize that you were right to have dropped out. It does not, it hardly works that way. Like you have dropped out, and just like you have graduated, you now have a life ahead of you that you have to figure out, and that may take years for you to figure out. That's one thing I can tell you for free. I think one more question. No, sir, the first rule, like telling my parents. Okay, you told your parents you wanted to drop out. Oh, I guess. What did you expect? So they'll pat your head and be like, that's, I like the. What exactly did you expect? I don't even try convincing them. You can't succeed at that. I came to my parents, so I'm still in school. About finished now. Do I well? All the best. All the best. I recently deferred my academic year in medicine and surgery to focus. So, sorry, guys, if you take something from this conversation, actually, I'm not expecting you to come to this conversation and then suddenly have the motivation to go drop out. It's good if you, in fact, stay in school, but know that it's not about school. Know that you can't make everything, all you're learning right now, be about the particular course you're studying, except if that course is really what you want to do. This is your passion and what you want to do with your life. And even if that's the case, school is not teaching you many soft skills, many people, human to human skills. School is not teaching you emotional intelligence. Your lecturers are not even emotionally intelligent to start with. It's impossible for school to teach you that or show you any example of what you would need to succeed in the workplace. Like I'm saying, you even want to stay in school. Know that what you're learning on campus is like 40% of what you need. You still need to read outside your school curriculum. You still need to go out and meet people. You still need to understand what's happening in the entrepreneurship world. You still need to understand what's happening in the tech world. You still understand what's happening in what's cryptocurrency. You still need to understand how the world is moving. You still need to take magazines, read The Economist. You still need to like read tech about, listen to podcasts, like open your mind. Open your mind. 5 years is a long time. 4 years is a long time to be focused on chemistry, focused on physics, focused on applied geology, focused on quantity surveying, which is 80% outdated theories from lecturers who are not interested in you understanding it in the first place. Like, do you get? So we stay in school, but it's just one component of so much you need to learn, and you can do it side by side. Many people in the tech space right now, I did a tweet. I said, yeah, you saw that tweet I did about many of these tech bros and babes are 200 level, 300 level students. I got many replies saying they're even 100 level. Like, you look at Tolu himself. Tolu has about how many jobs right now, Tolu? How many places have you worked so far now?
I have. How many jobs have I worked so far? I think maybe 6 or 7, and I started in 2019.
2019. I'm sure that part of what contributed to you making the connections that led to these jobs would be you attending events, you going out there, meeting people, right? Where did you build the connections that led to the jobs? Yeah.
I built the connection at my first was a volunteer role at an operator called. Then my subsequent jobs.
That's always a key part of many people's story. It wasn't a part of mine, but that's always a key part of many people's story. But how would you volunteer if what you were thinking about is hostel, class, fellowship, hostel, read overnight, class, fellowship? Like how? These things are important, but it can't be all, please. Very important. I have a question. So I recently deferred my academic year in medicine and surgery to focus on a design career. I deferred my academic year. Okay. I started out medicine in 2012, thanks to Nigerian for no fault of mine. Last year, I ventured into design and knew it was my purpose, or this is what I want to do, or that everything I've asked for in a career is here. Wow. So, sorry, Tony, you deferred it. Like, so have you finished the medicine? Like, do you have the? Does that mean? Okay, 1 year for internship, and he or she has not done that 1 year. Okay, nice. So yeah, great. I mean, I don't know what your next plan is. Finish design for that 1 year, then go do your internship. Is that the plan? Or is there a question in that? And do you intend to practice?
Tony, you can unmute yourself and have this conversation directly.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Tony.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tony.
It's very nice to meet you. So actually, I was trying to type, but it was.
I can't see your video. My video is on. How come I can't see the video of someone I'm talking to?
Sorry, I'm not particularly in a very well-lit place right now. I'm in the area of darkness.
That's right. Please go ahead.
Okay, so actually, it's not. I am in 400 level right now. Okay. I started in 2012. Me and Tolu's senior brother, we are classmates.
Wow, I see.
So, but last year during the pandemic, I like ventured into design, and then I kind of knew that because yes, I was good at medicine. Like I was this star kid. Like the book was coming in easy, but there was not really that sense of purpose. Yeah. So design actually gave me something different, like the opportunity to try and solve problems and then the likes. So I was like, okay, so if this is what I've been looking for, I am good at it. Like I've had a very, very, should I say, successful for like a start. And I've been having a lot of opportunities. So why should I continue to be in something just for the sake of finishing it when I can focus all of that time into something that I know that this is what I want to do, and it's as profitable or even more profitable self than medicine. So, but now the issue that I'm facing is that there's this thing that nobody seems to get it. Like nobody seems to understand. Like, why should you do something like that? Like medicine, long, like medicine that people have been fighting for, that you have it and then you are trying to leave it to go and become somebody that is going to be doing poster. That's what. And that's like the first problem, because sincerely, I am tired of trying to explain it to as most people. So most of the times when someone to just, as in, I don't even know what to say to them, like, because I know that first of all, you won't get it. And then me trying to explain again, you are still going to waste my time.
Yeah.
And then secondly, like, it has been kind of rough, deferring and trying to start. It has been kind of rough, but I'm still optimistic. But I have this kind of thought that hope that at the end of the day, I will not like be denied some opportunities because of, okay, you didn't actually finish the medical school, or because of you don't have this particular certificate, we are not going to give you this particular offer that you are trying to go for.
Okay, good question.
Yeah.
So first, I get the second question. I just want to understand what I assume to be the first question. If I get you well, I understand everything you said. You get it. People around you don't get it. What are you considering to do in your own art now? I'm assuming that you're considering to not go back and continue, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, based on reasons you understand, although everybody around you does not understand it. But secondly, you're also having this tiny little part of, I hope that indeed there isn't a part of their fears that's going to indeed be true in me being denied opportunities because I didn't finish. That's the second part, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Here's my advice to you. Again, your final decisions cannot be based on the fact that I advised you. So just add this advice into your pool, POOL, of considerations.
Yeah.
Don't go back.
What?
Don't go back.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you told me that, I'm making money in design, if that's all you said, I wouldn't be convinced to tell you don't go back. But if part of what you said, reading your chat and your voice, you said that this feels like your purpose. It feels like what you want to do and everything you've asked for in your career. You feel like design helps you to connect with problem solving. You mentioned profitability as a secondary factor. You emphasized more. It seemed like you have seen design for what design is. You've seen design for the essence of design as a problem solving opportunity. and you connect deeply with it. If this is the sign you're looking for, don't go back. Yeah. But only as an advice. Then to the part of you get it, but everybody around you doesn't seem to get it. They don't have to. Please, I would like to use an example of a story from the Bible. If you're not a Christian, just take it as a story from a book. There's this scene where there's a prophet, and he has this, is he junior or like a younger prophet, like next to him, right? And then they're surrounded by an army, right? And the younger one is afraid and scared. What are we going to do? Should we beg them? Should we offer them a bribe? Should we try to run? Master Alpha, why are you not scared now? Like, why are you this? What is this calm that you have? Can't you see this army? And then I think the big army, I can't quote, I'm not doing verbatim, but the main prophet, I think he said, asked God to open the eyes of the younger prophet. Yeah, I think it's Elisha, and then the eyes of that one was open to then see that behind and surrounding this enemy that was surrounding them was a larger army that only the eye of the prophet could see. So just imagine that you are in Ojota and Lagos, surrounded by a gang of people trying to attack you. 5 of them carrying machetes, carrying guns. But only you can see that behind these 5, there's 15. What's this top-notch US SEALs? The SEALs, right? I said you are in Ojota, surrounded by 5 rogues. Let's see. What is the word we used to describe them in Nigeria? Hoodlums. Nigeria says hoodlums. Let's say you're surrounded by 20. No, that's even getting to the top vision. But then, let's say you have 5, right? And then they are surrounded by 10 US Navy SEALs down your side. Imagine the kind of confidence you would have. But imagine there's someone beside you, also surrounded, but who can't see the SEALs. Suddenly it's like, what do we do? Would you, because this other person cannot see what you can see, would you, because of that, drop your confidence and subject yourself to their fear? In the case of this biblical story, the prophet could say, oh yeah, Holy Spirit, open the eye of this young man. Let him see what I'm saying. In this case, I'm sorry, I don't even think it would be a good use of your prayer time to pray that people around you understand this thing that you're trying to explain to them. I don't think it would be a really good use of a prayer time if you pray. Or I don't think it would be a good use of your wish to the universe that something just changes in their thinking. You just need to run with what, like, you can see it. Oftentimes, for the reason, like, there's like some 4%, 1% of the entire human population who have a kind of wealth and success that the rest of us cannot comprehend. That's because, well, insight is not really insight if everybody gets it. Like, yeah, it's not. Like, you should expect them to not get it. So, Tony, if you're found design, for these reasons that you have found it, add in your jota of thoughts that Victor's advice is that you should not go back. Yeah, that's what I can say. And whether they get it or not, okay, let me answer your second question. I can tell you. It's over 10 years now in the field. It's over and 7 years now of directly interacting with clients in that field, directly interacting with the one I successfully worked with and the ones that I have interacted with but not yet worked with yet, directly seeing how the clients I hope to work with one day work with other people they currently do. I have seen this. Anthony, I can tell you that the absence of you having this certification will play not one single tiny bit of a role in your chances of success in this field. It never will. It never will. Oh. In fact, if you're trying to contest in the future, like some people now added, I'm like, who told you I want to contest in the first place? But even if you're trying to contest, your WAEC is what you need. The problem with NYSC is that you graduated and you did not do NYSC. Then that's you flaunting the national system. If where you ended, if you didn't graduate, not having an NYSC, so people make it look like, oh, you didn't graduate, you don't have an NYSC, you can't run for government office. That is for people who finish school but flaunted. Is it flaunted? Flaunted, yeah, that's good. Flaunted the national process that graduates should serve. It does not apply to people who did not graduate at all.
Okay.
It does not apply to people who did not graduate, but people who did not graduate at all, your YS, or what do you call it? WASC is what you bring to run for any political office. That's in the 1% chance that you want to run for political office. But I can tell you, 7 years in, it plays no role at all. Nobody will ever ask you. In fact, to get a job, people will hardly ask you for your CV. Your CV might be asked of you when you have gotten the job just to fill in biodata. It's your portfolio. They will interview you. They will listen to your case studies, your problem-solving capacity. So yeah, I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Thanks.
Are there more questions, Tolu? Are we going to cope?
And,
Tolu, I will leave you to select the questions. I will leave you to select questions in the chat. And if you think
so I think your question was answered in Tony's question. If your certificate can, if he was denied an opportunity because he didn't have a certificate, I think that particular question, or for the matter of certificate, it happens in terms of context. So if you are going to be chasing academic roles or academic opportunities, then you need to get your certificate. But if you're going to be chasing opportunities that are outside the academia, I personally do not think a certificate can prevent you from getting the opportunity, because you don't need a certificate to apply for a visa when it is a relocation based work. So if you get a job at a company based in the US or Canada or anywhere, you are not going to need your certificate to apply for that visa. The company would put in the work to get you relocated to wherever you want to get to. So for
no battery, please charge.
Sorry.
For Nigeria, that's like
So
yeah.
Even any kind of visa, the certificate is not important.
Yeah.
It's just popularly regarded as supporting documents. Everything is just supporting documents, right? And you will still have a visa interview now. And then the other things, I mean, if you didn't finish school, just focus on other things you're doing. So if you're putting your visa documents together, putting your training certificate, putting things that point to things you've done, things you're doing, your CAC business registration, if you have moved into a business, putting your letters of recommendations, find ways to document your successes along the way. That was important documents.
Project your technical strength instead of your academic. So Nathaniel was raising up his hand. Nathaniel will be the last person to take because like 30 minutes into we have stretched 30 minutes into the allotted time.
Tolu,
so Nathaniel.
Please, before Nathaniel, just before Nathaniel, let me just address something Lennon said. What I enjoyed most about this conversation is that we talked about hard work and hard learning, not yelling it's by the grace of God up and down. So here's the thing. Inside the grace of God, inside Christianity, if we're God in all its forms, everybody that God used in the Bible, diligence is a repetitive character that you would find in all of them. Diligence and excellence. So you don't over laziness. You're supposed to be hardworking and excellent. That's how you can even be right ambassadors of God's grace. Now, inside that, you would then be doing something that should maybe earn you X, but with the grace, you're now getting 3X. But you are doing something that, like, you're working out as if you're not waiting for grace to succeed. Grace just takes you further. Do you understand? So God's grace is there, yes. But what kind of Christian are you if you're not excellent at your work? I don't know where you're getting your own Christianity from. Exactly. Grace accelerates something. There has to be that something. Go and read Christ and see how much hard work. How much hard work he exhibited on his life. So, yeah. Okay, so Nathaniel was
So Nathaniel,
yeah.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nathaniel.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
yeah.
Okay. So I don't have a question. I just have some thoughts regarding Tony's situation. Uh I'm a dropout myself, so I'm not talking from a place of privilege or anything. Uh but I think Tony should finish. That's just my thoughts. First of all, when he spoke about problem solving and stuff like that, what I felt was, or what I heard was, school, especially school generally, and especially in Nigeria, doesn't give you that platform to solve real problems, regardless of whatever you have studied. So it's unlike, say, the tech field, media field, whatever, creative field, where you are thrown in the deep end immediately. When you start solving problems, even if they're just like test cases or whatever. And then you feel valuable, you feel like you're making impact, unlike schools. So I don't know if he has not found that avenue to actually solve real problems in the medical field thanks to school or thanks to schooling in Nigeria. I don't know. That was just my thoughts. And then the another thing is, in my mind, I was like, it's just 1 year. I mean, it's just 1 year that is left. You can do that and do your design. You don't even have to like be excellent, or I'm not saying you should not pursue excellence, but you can just do it to finish and still like focus on your design career, because 1 year in the grand scheme of things is not going to change your life dramatically if you are still going to put in the work. If you are always going to put in the work in design, why don't you just like finish and like just you can do it simultaneously, and it might be tough for that 1 year, but you just get it done and get it done so that nobody disturbs you. You're not doing it because, well, you might want to do medicine, which I personally feel you should still try. I mean, you don't know, and you can also like implement your creativity, your design into medicine. You don't know what niche you might feel once you're like out in the field, something like that. So I think that was just my thought, Sha, when I heard everything that you said.
Okay.
Sorry, can I just quickly explain to Nat, like,
Right.
so that let's say like if you can get the full picture. So Nat, like, I sincerely understand what you're saying, and then I actually started out designing sincerely in 2019, just like giving it a try, trying to see if I could like make like a side hustle for myself or something like that. But then that was when I met Sheon Badejo of Eximia.
Okay.
And so when I met Sheon, he was one that actually like mentored me and then gave me an avenue to like go into brand identity full time. And so in 2020, throughout the lockdown, I don't really agree that 1 year is not enough in the grand scheme of things. To me, I feel like the 1 year that you need, or the year that you might actually overlook, might be the year that the entire difference in your life might come into play. From in 2020, I went from being broke to becoming like this kind of, should I say, wealthy guy. So 2020 for me was like a very, very defining point in my life. 2020 was a year that I gave my life to Christ, and then I had a new like insight into every other thing. And then when 2021 came, school came back, I was like, okay, anyhow, maybe we'll see how we go just join the team now. Last, now to just finish, and this is just like 2 years left. But then I kind of noticed that at the end of the day, I could not focus on design. I could not focus in school. Like, it's not like, okay, it's not something that, because I tried for like the first 6 months to try and say, okay, let me see how far I can manage both of them. I then stuck, I was then stuck in this position that I was not doing well academically because I was thinking of design. And whenever I am designing, I am worried about my books. So I was in this constant flux. Before you knew it, I just changed from this happy, extroverted guy to this guy that was battling depression. Like this kind of lock yourself inside you.
Existential crisis.
Exactly. Like I was in this constant flux
Yeah.
of
Oh my God.
like as in which one am I inside now? Concon, like, is it that I am a designer? I am. So I try to give both of them, like, even if it's like even a fraction of the time. But I was like, though, see, well, this thing, at the end of the day, I can't say I should drop design because Sapa will kill me. I can't say I should just drop every single thing and just focus on as a medical school. So I was like, okay, let me see. Instead of like doing the full dropout, I should just defer for an academic year and see what the future holds. So I've been applying for some jobs, and to me, I feel like personally, like if this is what I have this conviction that I am supposed to do with my life, and God's grace is and as God's grace is sufficient, then whatever success that I'm supposed to have in that medical field, I am still going to have it here because I don't know. I talked to my dad about it, and then she was like, "Talk. I am an old man. Whatever it is I want to do with my own life, that he will support me."
Thumbs up to your daddy. To your daddy. Father of the year.
Better papa.
So, like, it is not something like, okay, that it was just born out of this random thought. It is something that I've tried to experiment, combining both the medicine and the design, but it was not just working out. Like, sincerely, I tried. And if someone like me, I don't know if Tolu can ask his brother Bola to tell you about like who I am as a person. If I tell you that I've tried, then means that I have tried. And if
Let me come in here. So let me come in first. I mean, are we all still here? Thanks for adding more context, Tony. First, let me acknowledge that Nathaniel's advice is a valid advice.
Yeah, it actually is.
Yeah, it's a valid advice, and it is again a valid advice. The only issue from my school of thought, right, because there are different schools of thought. There are different levels of risk and risk aversion, right? I'm from the school of thought that, let me tell you something, guys. Of course, I've thought about it before too, that maybe, if you just waited 2 years, how much is 2 years? You could as well have combined both and did that. But let me tell you one big advantage that dropping out gave me, especially because I followed my art one. It felt like this is what you should do, and I did it without fear. I will tell you that has continued. It has become an advantage for me in terms of what defines my values, in terms of my character in life and business. It has become I don't know how to explain. It has emboldened me in my life and business decisions. First, dropping out first gave me one advantage, which is that, guy, there's no backup. This is what you're doing. If you fuck this up, you fuck this shit up. Like, the absence of that backup has become a strength. I'm not saying you must always burn your backup. You must always still try to, of course, why not? If you can have a backup, why not? But if it's going to take a toll on you, in the context that Tony has given now, that you are then not being able to be great at either of the two, you might as well consider the potential advantages of the strengths of the boldness that decision might give you. And that old what if, just in case. I know Nathaniel said something like even the medicine, maybe design. I don't know. Why do you have to force design into medicine if design is really what you're fond as your part? Like, that to me seems like a sort of like sunken cost. Like, oh, I've spent this long time in medicine. I don't want to waste it. Let me find a way to merge it. It's possible, but I wouldn't advise that from my own personal scope structure. Because, and if there's any fears of, just in case, see, when I chose design in 2015, 2014, I didn't even know about tech right now, the potentials of tech, like how huge it is right now. Like, I don't. If I wanted to drop out this year, it would have been way easier for me now because the data is clear. Like, that design is effing lucrative. Like, it's so clear now. It wasn't even that clear that time. Like, I have less reasons to have that fear of what if this, that. If you have no love lost with medicine, I don't know. But like you said, thank God you said you've also tried. But if it's now gotten to a point in which you are mediocre with both, you're not as great with either, there's no point. That 1 year is huge in that sense. 1 year of being not great either in the grades or in the design. I don't think one year is not, I agree with you that 1 year is not small in the grand scheme of things. So because when we look at 1 year, we're not, our math is not 1/70, say average hoped years of time on life. There's a certain number of years at a certain, it's probably maybe 1/15 years, essentially. There's a defining moment, there's a defining, say, 18 to 32 kind of framework where some decisions are made, where you lay the foundations for some things. So 1 year is not 1/70. 1 year is like 1/15. 1/15 is huge, if you ask me. So, but if we do a table, we would still be able to definitely, Nathaniel's advice has a lot of its own pros, our strengths and weaknesses that would then be weaknesses and strengths for this other approach. So yeah, I just wanted to share from the other side. But I think I'm with Tony on his considerations to be like, hey, I found this new thing. I connect with it. It seems like all I want in a career. It is lucrative. What the F am I doing in medicine?
All right. Thank you, Victor. Tony, hope that helps. So this is like, I just feel like we should just use the remaining 9 minutes to 3. Victory's hand is up. If you could be just very brief, so that we can all leave here by 3. So I won't go watch this. Rain on the fall for like 2 years. Yeah, so Victor.
Okay, yeah, hi Tony. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Victor.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Oh, yeah, so I had a lot of things to say, but I'll just ask the quick question, because I think what you have gone through from what you've told us is where I'm at currently. Mine just happened a few months ago, and I'm sure that's what I wanted and all that. But the big challenge is that I'm still at that spot where you've told them you want to do this and they are still in doubt. So more like on a weekly basis, I'm still getting calls. So more like my parents still tell them, okay, my mom's specifically telling this person, call him to know if he's sure of this thing he told me. And I keep, it's more like a spree of calls. So I know when people keep saying these things to you, and then you are sometimes in a doubt of, am I sure this is what I want to do? And it's even affecting my delivery. I mean, when I even do work, I'm an experienced designer though, yeah. So I want to be sure that this thing is like perfect, and it never gets to that point. So this problem of imposter syndrome, yeah, I don't know, how do you advise that? I mean, yeah, that I can deal with that currently.
Okay, 2 things I'll say. Let me start from the last part. Imposter syndrome is not as bad as it appears. There's a good part of it that you can utilize. Let imposter syndrome force you to develop. It might mean you applying double standards to yourself. So one of the sad parts of racism, for example, in the US, which then leads to the extra success of a few Black people, but is not good in the grand scheme of things, is that a Black person needs to prove themselves to have as hard as the average white guy. So Sometimes because they're trying to prove themselves as they become so great that they then become exceptional, but it is not a sustainable system. But my point is that if you're doubting yourself or people are casting doubts on you, you could as well just double the reality of, okay, yes, then 50. Your level of excellence is 50. Imposter syndrome is telling you is 25. Well, maybe try to push it to 80 so that now your imposter syndrome can at least start saying 50. Like, do you get my point? So just use that positive side of it. Then you need a little bit of self-doubt, actually. Or we all need a little bit of self-doubt to continuously learn, to continuously improve ourselves. It's not a bad thing. Don't just be soaked in that self-doubt. Don't be soaked in that imposter syndrome. Of course, know that it is not true, but let it just push you to read more, like take more courses, learn more, like work harder. Now, to answer your question of these continuous calls, I have an answer for you. I've never thought about it before. I've never advised anybody on this before. But as we were speaking, I was just thinking, if I was in his shoes, what would I do? If I was in his shoes, what would I do? First, I'll stop picking the calls. I would be texting them back. Whoever, I don't know what the family looks like, but I would stop picking the calls. And I would start responding them with things like, let me just take a random character, create a random character in your family. Let's say Auntie Dupe. There's always an Auntie Dupe somewhere, if you're Yoruba. Then, so let's just say, which is actually your aunt, right? So just text people after those calls that Auntie Dupe, I'm in a meeting with a client. I'll call you back. Well, let's talk about the meeting with clients now, because it's even a subtle way to let them know that I'm actually busy with this part of my life. I'm currently in a meeting, but if you don't want to do any white lies at all, just say, I'm currently busy now. I'll call you back. Set on your Google Calendar Saturdays for your calls. So I have a building list. Go and write the best name on that building list that you'll call them back. Then pick a time on Saturday, maybe 10 to 2 p.m. where you return all your calls. Even if she called you on Monday, tell her you call her back and only call her back on Saturday. If she calls back on Tuesday or Thursday, I don't care, don't call back. If the calls come back so much again, text her again, say, I'm very sorry, I promise I will call back. If you have up to 4 or 5 people like that who have called you didn't pick up, just respond to everybody. It doesn't matter if they are calling family meetings or your matter or they're discussing in the WhatsApp groups. I don't know, some families have WhatsApp groups, right? I'm not in any, but I see a lot of screenshots online. I think it's a good thing, I'm not speaking down on it. Don't pick up. Like, I'm telling you, don't pick up, because they're calling you, sowing doubt, distracting you, and increasing your chances of you actually failing. Okay, they're calling you to say that you will fail or you might fail. You are trying to tell them, don't worry, just give me a chance. But because you're entertaining those calls, you are reducing the chances of you actually succeeding, so they will be right. Do you get how it doesn't make sense? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you can't completely just, family at the same time. Like, there's respect, there's many factors. So say you call them back, combine everything together in one timeline where you wake up on Saturday, you've done some good work in the week. Be like, okay, time for emotional blackmail, time for confidence, anti-confidence dosage. But because your mind is prepared for it, defense wall activated, defense wall of faith, defense wall of confidence. I'm about to hear so many wrong things now, but I'll be fine. And I'll be patient, and I'll be calm. And then you pick up the call, and then you listen to them, and you let them speak, and you start by saying that you understand them, and you thank them for caring about you, for loving you, for advising you, and explain to them very, very respectfully how they're actually wrong about what they're saying. And this is how you see things. And they would go ahead to then tell you how you are wrong about you saying that they are wrong. And then say, well, Auntie Dupe, can you pray for me? Please just keep in your prayers. And I'll also keep in mind what you said, even though you don't intend to keep it in mind. And then go on and call Uncle Shego as well. And go on and go on and go on and go on. And by Sunday, go back to doing your great work and not picking anybody's calls till the next Saturday. I've never thought about what I just told you now, but I created it as you were speaking. If I was in your shoes, that's what I would do. But guys, you can't entertain people who are telling you would fail, then you entertain them so much that the fact that you entertain them is why you then fail. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I get your point. Yeah, thanks very much, Victor.
Okay.
All right. So thank you, everyone. Victor, thank you so much. This is more time than we budgeted. We spent 2 hours instead of 1. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for the
Have fun.
advice. That's really, yeah. So we are done for today. My supervisor just called me. Woo. Yeah, so but we're done for today. So you can like make a post, tag me on it on Twitter, Instagram, anywhere. I would want to be tagged, please. Thank you very much. All right, Victor, you want to say something?
DM me. That's my handle on Twitter and IG. You can DM me or engage or ask questions, more questions if you need help. But yeah. So bye everyone.
Bye bye.
Tolu, thanks for doing. Guys, thank Tolu. Thank Tolu. Thank you
Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Adios. 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 Ah. Somebody's looking. They don't do church. I don't. Oh, I want to go to talk. My hair like this. Move.
Bumi Brown, go.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
3, 2, 1. Boom.
Syringe.
How far, guys?
Syringe, you did this call.
I did, Mr. Lim.
Yo, be a where you manage that yet.